his heart rate became erratic. So, no, he didn't want to come the conventional way. They had to cut me open. And out he popped, but I saw him when he came out. And he was the most beautiful baby. And you can see that he's a combination of the two of us. He had all his skin because of me, and beautiful green and blue eyes because of his daddy. And he was smiles from the first day. He just brought so much joy into our lives. He was our first grandson on my side of the family. And I think he was second grand. Well, there were other grandchildren, but he was also Olson, beautiful Olson grandchild. And he was a joy from the very beginning. He was christened that summer. He was only a little infant. And one of the wonderful things I remember, I was breastfeeding him, and one of the things he used to do is he would hum when he was so hungry. He would hum when I was breastfeeding him because he was so happy he was eating. Michael didn't do that, but he was humming. He was so happy. And his grandmother, who's not here, she's in Charlotte. My father's here. She took care of him initially. He was learning English and Spanish from the very beginning. And he had other wonderful caregivers. And then when he was about 6 months, he met Lauren and Casey. Went to go see him for Thanksgiving. Casey was just a little bit older. And that's a beautiful memory, visiting with them. And then in 9 months, my little nephew Lucito came. So my brother Nicky, another cousin, came into his life, and then at 18 months, Michael came. 18 months after Carl was born. So they were very close in age and just inseparable. And when he would look at Michael when he was born and just would peek into his little bassinet. Yep, okay, I'm going to go back and play. But he was very curious about this little critter that came into our family. They were inseparable. And he loved his daddy. He loved Michael. Michael loved both our sons. We can't. When you're a parent, you don't love one child over another. Your heart just gets bigger. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And when he was 3, we sent him to swimming lessons, and in Charlotte, he was very much a swimmer. Here in Colorado, he didn't do a lot, but he was very athletic here, playing frisbee, from what I understand, and just always hanging out and climbing things. But that was one thing I was really proud of him. He was a natural swimmer. All those swim meets, I was so proud of both my boys, and it was such a joy to see him swim. And he was part of my church in Charlotte, and I call myself a Christian, and I've learned something very important as a Christian, or really a human being on this earth. God is a verb. God blessed me with my sons. And God has always been in Carl. It's very evident. I see him in your faces. He professed his faith at one point when he was little, but he was very generous with everyone. He didn't have to be a Christian to be loved. And I think that's what God and Jesus Christ really profess. We're on this planet to love each other. And boy, we're gonna make some mistakes. But that's when forgiveness is part of that equation. And we practice a lot of forgiveness at home with Carl. Carl, don't go over there. Carl, get out of the pond. I remember when Michael was born, and he was 18 months old. We had lived in a brick house, and we were renting it, and Michael was just a little infant, and Carl figured out how to get out of the front door, across the street. Fortunately, it was a major intersection, but there was construction going on. It was just seconds, and I turned around, Carl, went out in the street, and several blocks down there, he's coming with his diaper and his sandals and his little shirt, and this big construction burly man says, this boy belong to you? And I said, yes. And I got on my knees and looked at him. I said, Carl, you can't go far from me. You need to stay with Mommy. Yes, Mommy. He loved Power Rangers. He loved playing in the woods with his brother. He loved going to parks. And there was a sadness in our lives, Mom and Dad didn't stay together, but there was a reason for that. But that didn't stop him from loving us and us from loving him. It just was, it's pain. It's only temporary, but we had each other, just in different places. When Michael moved out to Colorado, he was definitely, a mama and boy, but he missed his daddy. So that was when he was 12 or 10. That was the beginning of me letting go of this child. That was very painful as a mother. But he loved his daddy. And I knew his daddy needed him too. So we partnered, Michael and I, through the years to make sure that the boys were together as often as possible. And the one thing I do remember that, there are people in our lives that came in Mike's life and that have been blessings to me because they loved Carl along the way. And one came into my life, my husband Gary, who's in North Carolina. And there's something funny about a boy and his mother moving on, because he became quite the little man when it was just the three of us at home. So it was hard when those other people besides Mom and Dad were around. He was very protective. It's, as children are, they're the parents that they love. And he was a challenging child in school.